Hello, I'm Freema Agyeman and I play Martha Jones.
Hello, my name's Thomas Sangster and I play Tim Latimer.
Hi, I'm Ailsa Berk and I'm choreographer.
So this is the first of a two-parter. This one's called Human Nature, where the Doctor becomes human. And this was a really great episode for us to film because David was basically playing a whole nother character. So I'm sure that was brilliant for him. He did it brilliantly, but it was also really different. It felt like we were, acting in a completely different show, I felt. So this was a really exciting one. I've been interested to see these, actually. I haven't seen them yet at all. Oh, and I got to change costume. Wear a lovely little get-up. It was also nice doing these two episodes because I got to wear a completely different costume, and also I spent a lot less time in hair and makeup because usually I had to be in there like for an hour, and this time it was quite a simple look, and the clothes were just really loose and comfortable, and also it was quite cold if I remember rightly, but because they were quite baggy we could get thermals underneath them, so it was just cosy all together, a really cosy, comfy outfit, and I just remember being really, really comfortable during these episodes. Not that the other ones were uncomfortable, but especially comfortable. There's your little prop, Thomas, that you nick. Pilfer. I haven't seen any of your bits or anything. I'm quite...
I haven't seen anything, then.
No, of course not. Gosh. Actually, that paper that I've picked up there, if memory serves, might have been the same... I might be telling a lie now, but I think some sheets were the same paper that we used for episodes 4 and 5 in Hooverville.
Oh, right, yes.
But there's a paper on the bench, and I picked that up as well. But, of course, they had to change the front sheet. The attention to detail is massive, but it's quite nice to see the little things that resurface and all the little props that can be reused, because a lot of the times with the set, they have to just absolutely scrap everything, and it's such a shame because there's such... beautifully constructed sets and they just get scrapped and recycled and used as something else, so it's nice when you can see little things that survive. Are you in amongst that?
I don't think so. No, it was cold and wet that morning.
I was going to say it.
That was a beautiful location,
No,
though.
it was incredible.
It was quite nice because I'd kind of pop out from time to time and go and just want to gaze at the moors outside, and there'd be one or two people doing that already. So it's just something about beautiful landscape that you just can go and stand there and sort of let your mind wander, really.
It's so incredible, the transformation of the school.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
But that's the amazing thing about this show, because every episode just has got such a different feel to it. You know, the lighting, the costume, the set designs, the casting, everybody and everything just lends itself to, feeling like you're in a completely different production each time. The consistent thing is quality. That's what it is.
It is.
Oh, there's Rebecca. She was larger than life.
No, she was great.
Yeah. Really funny.
But it's such a lovely contrast, this episode, because it's just set sort of Edwardian times and, in contrast with the other shows and that.
Yeah,
the
you're right.
Costumes and...
Yeah. And it is set on Earth. I mean, thinking back, I suppose... we had sort of obviously Smith and Jones on the moon, and then Shakespeare was on Earth, but not in our time, I guess. And 3 wasn't. I suppose 4 and 5 were. 6 was. 7 wasn't. So I suppose it's a nice fair split, really. Some on Earth and some not. But yeah, to think about this era, it had a particularly nice feel, didn't it?
Yeah. Maybe because it's still more tangible in some respects, because people have family that have memories, or I don't know, but there's something very, very drawing to this one.
It's always lovely to see what other people do, because obviously you're not there for all of it, and you only ever see your part. So
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and when people ask me, do you cringe when you watch the the episodes, or do you try and not watch them, or do you watch them just to sort of critique yourself? But it's really bizarre, because I watch them completely objectively in a way, because I'm not in every scene, so I'm watching the rest of it, and I want to see the way the story unfolds, just like everybody else.
Yeah,
so.
And the way it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, completely.
It's because in many things you work in isolation on certain aspects of it, and then the beauty is seeing the end result and seeing how it's all been edited together, and the story really comes to life.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
But when you're working with people, do you do a lot of stuff off of set? Like, you work with them in a private space, do you? Because you do stunt stuff and choreography and all sorts, don't you? So if you're working with people, does the majority of it happen off of set?
Yeah, I mean, what you see on the set with the likes of the creatures you're going to see here, or like the Jadoons or anything like that, it's all done in rehearsal beforehand, because we need to know what you can do with the costume, what visibility the heads are going to have, things like that. And I mean, in this episode, for instance, we had great fun with the supporting artists, getting them dancing in the car park early in the morning, because that was the only rehearsal time we had. So like 7 a.m. in the morning in the car park. Thank goodness it didn't rain that day.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Where do you often rehearse? Wherever you can, then, I suppose, wherever there's space.
Yeah, well, in that instance, because we didn't have the people to that morning.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, we ended up using the car park, and it was just totally bizarre at that time in the morning, because, saying, let's take a partner, please, and try and waltz. So it's funny moments.
And it's quite different as well, isn't it? Because you choreographed the dancing girls in 4 and 5, Daleks in Manhattan, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, and I remember turning up to the rehearsal for that, and it was in a lovely warm dancer studio, and all these beautiful girls with their fans, and it all looked glorious. But it's so different to say, this stuff that's coming up, or the Cybermen or the Jadoon. What do you find most enjoyable?
I think that's the beauty about Doctor Who, because it's just giving so many beautiful challenges. You've got a dance sequence, and then you've got pig guards, and then you've got Jadoons. You just don't know what's going to come up next, and I think that's the fun of it. You just haven't got a clue what's around the next corner, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't think there's anything... It's good fun. It's really good fun. Enjoy it.
Yeah. And a lot of the essays that you do use, do you tend to... I see their faces pop up more than once, so they get reused, and so are you forging, friendships with them and stuff, or is it just a case of... do you recruit people yourselves, or do you work with whoever is there, if you like?
It's very interesting because... as you say, a lot of the people you're seeing again and again, and what's built is that over the series 1, 2 and into 3, we've got together sort of a group of supporting artists who really, you see them in the Cybermen, you see them in the Jadoons, you see them in the Scarecrows, and it's just such a fabulous team of people, and it's just such great fun to work with them. And they've got it now, so they just know automatically almost what one or other of them is thinking or feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they're just
That
sort of
must make life a lot
spontaneous.
easier.
Yeah.
It's just fabulous, and they are just such great fun to work with.
And uncomplaining, I noticed. No one ever really whinges when they're dripping with sweat, or, not getting any air.
No, that has to be part and parcel. Dead right, yeah.
And this little book as well, talking about props and attention to detail. Somebody in the art department made that, and it was literally on every single page, drawings and sketches, and right, look, this is like thoughts. She'd written it like someone's just brainstorming. And I was just thinking, if I was to do something like that, I'd get so precious about one drawing. I'd probably spend 2 days on it. But it's got to look like it's just been a fevered sort of, exploration of your mind, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, and all that effort, and it only gets shown for a little bit.
Do you know what I mean? Hopefully it'll end up in an exhibition somewhere, and people can take full advantage, because there was a little sketch of Rose in it, and then there was, the Slovene and all these, the TARDIS, as you just saw there, just loads of bits and pieces. So, you do art, don't you, Thomas?
Yes.
So, do you do anything like that?
Art exam all day today. I'm quite sick of art.
Has it all got a sci-fi twist to it, what you're doing? do you not take inspiration from this, Thomas? All this stuff was great in the read-through. I was dying to see how it looked. Can you remember what your first scene was?
This one.
No way.
Yeah, this was my first scene.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That was all great fun. This.
Is it a long scene, this one?
It's fairly long.
So I guess it was just, this must have been an afternoon when it was just all you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was this in the house that we just saw the outside of on the grounds, that large manor house?
No, that was
this-
in a church.
This was in a church?
Yeah.
It's so clever the way they go from one location to another, and you believe that you're within the same building. And
Isn't it, though?
the way they match
Even when
up.
you know it's not, and you've worked in 2 different places.
Yeah.
When you watch it.
You still buy it?
Yeah.
Definitely. This location, actually, we were right by the motorway, and I didn't realise that's what I could hear, but obviously the cars passing was creating this constant noise, and I remember going, what is that? And someone went, well, the motorway's just over there. And of course I didn't think anything of it until I went and did ADR, and all of this scene, I mean, has all the dialogue's been added in afterwards, because you couldn't use anything we did on the night. And it was, I remember we had such a laugh that night as well, and it was freezing cold,
Yeah, it
but
looks freezing.
it was a crisp evening, but we had such a laugh doing it. And then, so my heart sunk a little bit when I got to ADR, and I should explain that's additional dialogue recording. So you're putting the voice in afterwards, and I kind of thought, because to me it's kind of like what you had at that moment was at that moment. So you kind of are trying to find that again. So. But I mean, you can't have cars flying around in the background, so it wouldn't have sounded right. So it was necessary. Jessica Hines. I think she now likes to be known as. She's just brilliant, so funny and so witty. And her and Rebecca actually were just like peas in a pod. I think seeing them go just made everyone else exhausted. They could both go 100 miles an hour. But she was so funny, and she played this part so delicately and beautifully as well, because I'm used to just seeing her in a lot of comedy roles, and
Me too.
Yes.
this was perfect. I really liked John Smith as a man. I think he was such a sweet character, but and I guess that was the whole point, really. It was to make him not unlikable. He is a good man with a sweet little life, and the audience will love him. And so, you know, that was part of tugging at the heartstrings, I think. If he'd have just been a rubbish person, then, you know, it wouldn't have worked, I don't think. So it was great the way David made him so likeable. Wow, that looks great. I think this field, or these woods where we're filming, was the same as there's a scene coming up with me and Rebecca where we're running trying to chase these lights coming up, and I couldn't quite see the way you just sort of held on as he was walking around there. That's probably the sensible thing to do, and I was running, you know, full steam ahead, and I remember falling over, but I spent a lot of time falling over during this whole shoot. Your pride kind of goes after a while. That looks great.
Wow.
Again, reading the script, you kind of wonder how an actor's going to play that, don't you? And when I read it, you think to yourself, well, I wonder I'd do it like that, or whatever, and look at that. It's great. You had some special effects stuff coming with the watch, didn't you? Do you get some stuff that you see that you don't actually see?
Yeah, I just had to imagine it.
So how do you... I know people ask me all the time, but
like,
how did you find that? They've done something like that before.
It's kind of strange. You just have to look at a watch for a long time and have these amazing facial expressions. And you feel a bit stupid, really. You just hope it's going to look good.
It's funny because I think, quite early on, you kind of think, right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it work? How's it not going to look eggy? And then after a while, after you do it for, series, episode after episode, you begin to realise that as long as you do your part, by the time the effects are in and everything else, and as long as you you feel like you're on a cliff and you've got to just let yourself fall over, you've got to just commit to it, and then it looks fine, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Wow, that looks good. That's the alien spaceship?
Yeah, I wonder where that was.
I never saw that.
No, I never saw it either. Goes back to what we were saying, with everything coming together, then you see it. And it's what you imagine from the script. It's fabulous.
That's pretty much how I kind of envisaged it. Is it you?
Yes.
I don't know if did it say quite a small space and that sort of claustrophobic feeling, if you like, because I kind of envisaged that, and that's great.
Yeah, because it said with him with his knees all hunched
Yes,
up.
you kind of got that impression, right?
Yes, yeah, and you sort of had that feel.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it starts at the writing and it just goes on and it comes together really well. And look at the angles when they start to go mad. It's great, isn't it? Really, Thomas, can't you see something's wrong with him, man?
I think I'm the only one that clocks it, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. What were you doing over there?
Polishing shoes.
Oh.
My hair looks strange. I'm not used to it like that. I usually have it quite long.
Well, it was funny because with all the essays, I think there was like 2 weeks in between them coming back, and they had to get their hair all recut. I remember them coming in and out of makeup over that hour, and they were there just getting their hair cut down again. And I remember Babs, Barbara Southcott, the head of makeup, saying their hair's just grown so quickly because it would have just been, as it was on this, just so shaped, isn't it, in this day and age, that not even one little bit of stray hair going on. So, yeah. It looked very smart, though. And they didn't necessarily wear it like that, but it looks the part.
But when you saw them going home with their regular clothes on, their jeans, their sweatshirts and all the rest, and they had these hairstyles, which was just like out of another world.
Yeah.
It was strange to see.
Gosh, yeah. But I do love how hair and makeup and costume design would all work together, and you'd often see them in each other's trailers and trucks, sort of discussing, what the hair sometimes was dictated by the clothes, and vice versa. It was a nice sort of relationship then. I think this might have been the very first day, the bit with me walking around the TARDIS, I think it was the very first day back after Christmas. And I remember looking at the call sheet and it was just my number on that day, and I was like, why is it just me? But it was no dialogue, it was just walking around the TARDIS and looking sad and looking forlorn and the rest of it. So, and I think I remember I broke up one day sooner than other people, so it's only fair.
That was nice, actually, having Christmas halfway through. I like that. It gave a nice break.
But because it was a 2-parter anyway, it felt a lot longer than the other episodes, obviously. But with the break in between as well, it did feel like we were doing them for a really long time, which was lovely because it did feel really meaty, and you could really just get stuck into it. I do remember that it did feel like it was a really long run. Which was equally sad when it all finished and everyone went, and and then sort of kissing goodbye to all of that and starting a whole new journey, which is exciting as well. But there's always that little element of sadness for me.
Well, I think so with all the episodes, because you just get to work with people, and then suddenly they're not there, and and then you build again. But it is always sad. It's always sad when each episode or block comes to an end.
It really is. But then I've always said it's great having David there, because he's like a great constant, and you can, I'm sort of reassured that he's always going to be there, and it's that sort of calming feeling. But it is great having a whole new cast as well. But as you said, then it's sad when they go. So it's just such a wonderfully unique job.
I mean, each episode must be completely different.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really, really is good fun, because you don't know, until you get the script, you've got no idea what sort of tangent they're going to go and what sort of journey you're going to be taking off. Are you going to be on Earth? Are you going to be, split up from the Doctor? What are you wearing? It's just, there's so many little bits of, the sort of excitement that each episode brings. So, I mean, I've never done a job like this before. Such a ride.
I think it's very unique. I mean, it's the diversity, the time scales of where you can be. You can be in Shakespeare time, you can be in the modern time.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just, it's very exciting, that.
I think your hair looks terribly smart. I love it. Have it like that all the time. It's cute.
No, when I was in all the costume and the hair was all done, I felt very kind of upper class.
Did you?
How did you find the wing collar?
It was uncomfortable after a long time. Started getting a rash, but it looks good.
It does look sharp. Yeah. It's great. There's not a lot of height difference there. How tall are you?
I don't know. Keeps changing.
Increasing, I hope. So this is a different set, and then this is you back in the church.
Yeah. This is me looking mesmerised at the watch. And they had a little, rather bright yellow lamp shining in my face there. And I was supposed to look down at the watch, and the director would just kind of whisper things into my ear. Telling me, now you're seeing this, now you're seeing that, and I just had to react to it. Quite strange. Looks like a real school.
I was just thinking that. That's really weird. All these boys running around.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Really, really cool. But there was that night, I'm not sure if it's coming in this episode or if it's in the second part, where all the boys were out in the battle scene. And raining and miserable, and their little hands were just freezing cold, and it went, oh, God, look at this.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Scarecrow.
So now are they just leaning up against... No, there's no stick there, is there? They're not on a stick or anything, are they?
I don't think that one is. There are sticks in some, but...
This was just freestanding.
Freestanding, yes. Yeah.
So would you have been here on this day, or was it?
No, I wasn't actually there on that day. It was some of the days that I wasn't there. But we'd worked through all the movements.
Okay.
We had a sort of a rehearsal day, worked through the movements and decided basically... It was interesting because, you get scarecrows, and you get scarecrows like in Wizard of Oz or Return to Oz, and they're actually lovable characters, whereas these are certainly not lovable characters. They're sinister and evil, and
I think arguably
the soldiers,
possibly the scariest monsters of this series. I think they're quite scary.
Well, they're the soldiers of the family.
Yeah,
when Vane, when Vane says activate the soldiers, he's referring to the scarecrows.
Yeah. But I also love the way that how it's described that they move in the script. You obviously take that, and the boys work with that. Because I remember with the Jadoon, they were yomping.
Yes,
and
that's
you
right.
you get that. And with these guys, I think, was it lolloping?
Yeah.
And that's just so what they're doing.
Yeah, the Jadoon yomped and the scarecrows lolloped. And actually, that was the word. It was the word lollop that was the basis for choreographing the style of the walk, to get the legs swinging round so you've got this particular type of gait, and then adding sort of minimal things like, instead of taking the head from over shoulder to shoulder, just letting it slightly come under so it was more sinister.
Yeah.
My ears were ringing after a while.
Did you not have plugs in, or...?
No, not for the close-up.
Right, no, of course not.
And the bit we just saw in the trenches, that was the late.
I heard about that.
God.
Go on, what happened?
That was quite incredible. We had to roll around in mud and puddles, literally, before every take, to get refreshened up in mud. And we were weighed down by all our equipment, and then it was wet, so it was double as heavy, and we just had to kind of walk through this mud pile they'd created from just digging in a field and filling it with water.
God.
And at the end we have to jump into a huge big puddle and just get up and do it again and again and again all night.
Did you keep good humour about you throughout?
It was great. It felt like you were in World War One. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, because I know at the end of episode 9 it was a really grim day, and basically it was raining and it was mud and all sorts, and I was going, this is quite difficult to work. It's quite grim, is it? For everyone was going, you should have seen the trenches. This is a walk in the park, literally. Because I just remember everyone saying the trenches was the most difficult part, because absolutely everything, the equipment got covered in mud, and
crazy. It got to the point where it was just funny.
Yeah, good attitude.
Just walked in more mud just to see how much mud you could get on you.
Wow, God.
I actually I loved that, actually. I would have found that really miserable, but I kind of got into it. Pretended I was in the war.
Wow, oh my gosh. Yeah, now, what you were talking about with the... Oh, no, this is a big scene as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
It had,
in the script.
Yeah, all like the one thing affecting another, and I'd remember this. Obviously, I'm not involved in it, but I remember it taking a long, long time, but I guess you'd need, like, a day.
It's interesting to read it in the script and not be there and now actually see how it was, how it all came together.
Yeah, sorry to backtrack. I was going to mean to ask you, with the monsters, I know that a couple of the boys have dance or movement experience. Obviously, that helps, or not necessarily. You can work, with people that don't, or...
Yeah, most of the guys that are in the costumes, I mean, they've all got movement backgrounds.
Sure, oh, okay. All of them.
I mean, some may be more towards the dance side, some may be more just good physical performers and so forth. But really, it's requisite, because you've just got to... look at the stuff that they're wearing. It's a bit like when you're in the trenches and things get weighed down.
Yeah.
I mean, a cyber suit, I think it was 27 kilos or something like that was on these guys. Yeah. It was a heck of a weight with all the bits. They've got a lot physically to cope with. I mean, the scarecrows were quite light costumes by comparison for them.
Yeah.
Beautifully made, and the heads and everything. But they actually had... a little bit like your costume, they had range of movement in these costumes, whereas sometimes they're very restricted.
What seemed to be the general consensus out of them all, as to which one was their favourite, or wasn't there one?
I don't think there is one, because most of these guys that were in the Scarecrows had all done the Cybermen, they'd done the Jadoon, they'd done the Oods, you know. And I think, like we're saying, they all enjoy and get something, and find something new and different in each one. And find something new and different that hurts in each costume or digs in, or that's why I think that one was great for them, because it's pretty light, malleable, and they could see.
Always a bonus.
Yeah.
David taking credit for that picture. Oh, dear. It was a lovely relationship between these two as well. It was, again, as not as likeable and sweet as John Smith was. It was, you know, they shared that sort of innocent relationship. It was just so...
It was very endearing.
It was really endearing, wasn't it? And even I remember playing it, me and the director, Charlie Palmer, we were saying... Because initially I thought Martha would be quite blunt towards... Joan, and quite, you know, argumentative and get at, and, you know, I had him first sort of thing. But you can't, especially the way she plays it, you couldn't be like that towards her, because she meant no harm, no malice. She was just a woman falling in love. So you almost, it wasn't right to be mean to her.
No.
Good old TARDIS. Yeah. Even without the Doctor, it can help you along. I've often thought that it would be great if the TARDIS could speak. If that sort of mainframe bit had a voice, it would... I think it would be a hugely popular character.
These were in the grounds of the old house again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was this not at St Fagans? Or...
Yeah,
this was...
I think it was at St Fagans.
Because I know that certainly some of it was done in the grounds of the manor house where we were at, and then some was done in the grounds of St Fagans, the Museum of Welsh Life. This was a place where they took buildings, they had original buildings dotted around the place that had been taken apart and deconstructed and reconstructed at St Fagans. So they were all original buildings, and in the dance, where we had the dance scene, that was... a reconstructed building as well. So it was just an amazing place with such craftsmanship to be able to do that. And even if you're not in the scenes, you can't take yourself off anywhere because you've got to be on hand. So, you know, you might think at the end of the day, well, I've just sort of hung about for 4 hours, but you might have been needed in 2, so you couldn't ever really go off. But
no, my friend's out there now, actually.
Oh, really?
He's in the same hotel and everything. He's doing Torchwood.
No way.
Yeah.
So you can tell him everything he needs to know. Brilliant. Yeah, it's great with the little crossovers actually between the shows, because sometimes you can spot the essays and stuff, or the locations, you know, that the two shows use.
We certainly end up in some interesting locations. I mean, St Fagans a well-known one, but sometimes you think when you're in the Brecon Beacon somewhere in some bunkers and stuff, which, you know, these are sites that aren't on the tourist board. You certainly get to see another side.
Definitely.
Disused schools and old factories, deserted factories and things like that. And
there's that one factory that we've used countless times. I think it's an old TV screen factory. I can't remember where it is. I mean, I don't know about the other series, but we've certainly been there 3 or 4 times in this series. So, you know, because it was such a large space, you could use different areas to represent completely different places. So it's brilliant. That must be a pretty fun job as well, actually. Location scout and location manager.
Yeah.
Find little treasures. Oh, this bit absolutely made everyone just hoot. Because the camera came in so close and she just did that sniff and no one was prepared. And it wasn't just me that started laughing. The first AD, Richard, I could hear him chuckling in the background. And then that was it. The poor girl had to do it again and again because each time somebody would laugh. But she was just so brilliant. Oh, dear. And we had lovely tea and cake that we were playing with there, and I think by the time we finished, after all the laughing and managed to get through this scene, the tea was so cold and I kept spooning sugar into it for the sake of the scene, and I think it was like poison by the end if anyone ever had that cup of tea.
But I love the way you find out here that something is amiss when you say to her, would you like so-and-so in your tea and so-and-so in it. I can't remember the exact words, but totally, you know, obscure products for the tea. You know?
Yeah. It was a great scene. Great writing. Wow. That's fab as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
That was, the special effects team. Danny sort of rigged this cord all the way through the ground, and they're just great with it all and so safe. And there was like not an X marks the spot, but they were really clear as to where the explosion was going to happen. So, because that's happened near enough to you to make it look exciting, but obviously not to endanger your leg. So, just they endlessly impressed me as well. I remember this scene when we did it actually, and he made me chuckle a couple of times in this scene as well, battling not to laugh. Oh, funny. Oh, God, remember this?
I remember that.
Did I not absolutely shoulder barge you on one of them takes? I just remember going whack, and I just practically heard the air explode out. So sorry. And then that flashback when we had the modern take on the same scene. Do you remember when I fell?
Oh, yeah. It was on one of those manhole drain cover things.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it wasn't because I can't stand on my own 2 feet, but that's, I'm sure, how it looked. But my agent came down to see me that day and everything, and we were filming outside a building where there was loads of people watching in this office block with their faces pressed against the window. And so, you know, of course, perfect time to just... absolutely, because it was a rainy day, so the manhole was slippery, and my feet just flew out from under me, bounced on my bottom, and just didn't know where to look. Oh, dear. That was the last scene of the day, wasn't it? That barging one on the old... Yeah, I remember we had a couple of goes at it, and then... Were they night shoots or just split days? We weren't going into the night, were we?
Oh, no, they were.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they were.
So I remember, it's always nice when you reach the last scene on the night shoot. Everyone's just a little bit more lifted because you could see the finishing line.
This got so hot.
Didn't it, though? Yes. This room, and there was no phone reception in there either, I remember.
Yeah.
A boiling hot box with no reception. Yeah, actually, that was the one time in that room that I regretted putting the thermals on.
You had thermals on in the village hall?
Well, after a while, because it was cold elsewhere, you just kind of get used to putting them on and before you come on, and I just thought, I'm going to die. They had to have lessons, didn't they, Jessica and David, with this?
Yes. They came up a couple of evenings to the rehearsal rooms at BBC Wales, and I felt so sorry for them because they came after a whole day's filming, and then suddenly they had to change course, change what they were doing, and suddenly concentrating on learning how to dance. It was great fun working together.
How many did they have?
We had 2 sessions.
Wow.
2 sessions, rather short sessions, but they were just amazing, and I believe they went off practising in their spare time because little heard through somebody that they'd been seen waltzing.
You can't ask for more.
You certainly can't, no, but it's wonderful.
Had either of them had ballroom experience before? Or?
No, I don't think so. It was like, what have we let ourselves in for here?
Wow. I think the audience would be willing at this point. He just goes ding, and gets it. She's great, little Lauren. She was fab. And again, at the read-through, and actually reading the script before the read-through, I'm thinking, wow, who are they going to cast for this, special little girl? Because I think it's a great part. And, from the read-through, she walked in, sweet little thing, like butter wouldn't melt, but she just attacked that part. And, with such guts. And I just think she did a great job. And I love that she keeps her balloon throughout it all as well. It's so sinister, isn't it?
Yes. Always made sure that the scarecrows never stood symmetrical. It was always an asymmetry about them, so that they just look, you just wondered what are these?
Yeah.
What's there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite, the irony that they are just bags of hay and yet are they henchmen.
Yeah.
They're soldiers.
That's
That,
a good idea.
It's brilliant, isn't it? 'Cause they're so unassuming. Those guns were not easy to hold if you've got small hands, because they're kind of the distance from the handle to the trigger. I think I was practically at full span. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I know what I do. Thank you very much, Ailsa
brilliant.
and Thomas, for being here. That was fun.